Hey all, good evening and welcome to another session with me, Varun on Ekagra. And in this session, let us talk about the first chapter of class 8 and general science. And name of the chapter would be understanding crop production and management, right? Now, in order to cover the syllabus here, I have taken the help of NCERT books directly, and I think they should be giving us greater insights and greater clarity into whatever we are kind of studying. And for all those of you who don't know me, well, my name is Varun. I also have another couple of channels. I work as a developer and as an educator and probably as a data science trainer. And I also keep doing hip hop or I keep doing rap whenever I get time to do because that's one of my passions. This is a bit about me, and I think this video series is probably an output of the Independence Day that we have, and it's a decision that almost all the classes would go live from this day onwards. So yes, without wasting any time, let us quickly get into the subject and understand what crop production and management has to talk to us about. Now, here the author or the person has considered two imaginary characters named Paheli and Buju. Will not take the names again and again, but yes, we will focus about things which are much more required. And when we talk about agricultural practices, as you can see in your textbook in the first page, till 10,000 BC, people were completely nomadic. They kept wandering from one place to another in search of good agricultural lands, or probably in order to just get food wherever they stayed. So most of the people stayed close to river beds and probably in caves or probably things or areas like that because availability of food was easier. But then with time, people moved on to different locations and they have understood that these vegetables or these uh, grains or these crops can be repeated again and again. And that is when slowly agriculture came into picture. And in agriculture, we have the full length utilization of a crop. Now, what is a crop? A crop is a plant of same kind, wherein they are planted again and again on a large scale basis on the same on a similar tract of land. Now we have many examples like rice, wheat. They are all called crops. Now there are different variants of crops. You have commercial crop, you have seasonal crop, you have cash crop. We'll talk about it as we keep going further. But when we talk about a country like India, which is very vast and it has a huge range of climatic conditions, here we also have different cropping patterns that are followed throughout the country. And as you can see, the first one that we have on board is Kharif. I would be writing the important terminologies that we have come across here so that you can keep a note of it. We have Kharif and we have Rabi. We also have something called as Zaid. We'll talk about it as we keep going ahead. But Kharif is firstly to be understood as a crop that is planted or that is sown in rainy season, right? So this mostly happens during rainy, and an example of kharif is rice, probably. All right. You have also cotton. We'll take cotton as an example, and then we have rabi. Rabi is considered to be a winter crop, and examples of rabi are probably wheat. All right. And we also have a lot of other examples, but we'll just keep things very simple so that we don't get confused or we don't get deviated from the topic. So Kharif crops are generally harvested in the month of June and they are sown or they're sown in the month of June and they're harvested in the month of September. While when we talk about Rabis are generally planted or stored in October, that is after the Kharif crop, and then they are taken out by the end of uh, the summer season, which is March, Aprilish. All right. Now, there are different steps to be followed when you want to go about your agricultural practices, right? Like right from sowing the seed to getting the harvest and storing it, it's a process. And the process is very beautifully prescribed here in very less sentences or in a very easily understandable format. In step one, you prepare the soil. When you say prepare the soil, you add different elements into it. You plow the soil, right? And in order to do that, we use a plow. Now, let us just quickly take a look at what a plow is before we go any further. Right. So here, if you can see, This is a kharif crop. Kharif crop, paddy, maize, soybean, groundnut, etc. We also have something called as zaid. Zaid is an intermittent of both of them. And then we have a rabi, something called as rabi. Rabi has wheat, grams, potatoes, coriander, oat, mustard, etc. And then this is what a plough is. Earlier in days, we used to mostly go for manual ploughing. Like it involved human labor, but nowadays we have mechanical ploughing or semi-automated ploughing, wherein real human labor is not the mandate, is not a compulsory element that needs to be available. Right. So let's go forward. So you would first be preparing the soil, and then you would be sowing the seeds, after which you would be adding manure to the fertilizers. Now, this is where very important part comes in. You would want to be very clear if it is a manure or if it is a fertilizer that you want to add. Okay, manure is moreover natural, while fertilizers are a bit chemical, right? So this is there's a bit of difference between them. Okay. And then you would be going for irrigation, which is the next step, wherein you would be watering the plant and you would be protecting the plant and you would be growing the plant with water and other things required. You would be protecting your crop from weeds. Weeds are those invasive species of plants, right? And they kind of spoil your crop. Okay. Weeds are invasive species of plants, right? I hope that's understood. And then the next step would be to harvest. You would be removing the crop that you have, and finally you would store it in the right storage places. So this is how this is the life cycle of a crop that we can know. So it's the same explanation that's given here. If you can see, you would be using a plow, all right? And this process is called as ploughing. And this is done using a plough shaft. A plough earlier days, as you can see, which is written here, it is the main part is made of log wood. But nowadays, we see how mechanical or electrical ploughs or hoes have come into picture. Right? Plough actually required human labor and animal labor to be involved. It could be cows or horses or buffaloes. But now it's a bit different. So this is an exact variant of a plow. But now, as you can see, we have tractors which come with cultivators or they come with hoes. Cultivators are semi-automatic. They can also plant seeds and they can also come up, plow the field. So you have multiple uses of the same. And then as you keep moving ahead, you would notice how it is used for traditional, how it is used or how we started agriculture using traditional purposes too. Then in 1.5, you would be adding the manure after you plough the seed, after you plough the field, and then after you're done with, you know, like after you're done with seeding or sowing the plant, the seeds for the crop to come up. The next thing you would be doing is adding manures and fertilizers. Having understood this, as we keep going ahead, now once your crop is done, okay, and you have your crop, there is a lot of practices in different parts of the globe, and one of the most famous practices to ensure that your crop or that your soil maintains strength is called as crop rotation. Now, in crop rotation, we would be adding seeds or we would be coming up with crops which are leguminous in nature, right? So crop rotation. Now, whenever we plant one crop, let us assume that it is rice or it is wheat. When you plant them, and once you have the final output or you have the final seeds, you would notice that your soil has become less deficit, or it has become less, or it has become deficit in different nutrients. And one of the most important nutrients that we find that it goes deficit is nitrogen. And notwithstanding nitrogen, we also have other elements which get replenished because it is giving all of its energy to the crop, right? It is the reason why we come up with the practice of crop rotation. And during this crop rotation, we use nitrogen fixing bacteria which is called rhizobium, and they fix the atmospheric nitrogen into your soil, and this is where these plants become very useful, right? So they have a bacteria which is called rhizobium, and we've already learned about this. So this is how we can ensure that your crop is remaining healthy. As you can see here, the difference between fertilizer and the manure, I've written it already, but it's a more detailed explanation. Fertilizer is man-made, while manure is obtained naturally. It's cattle dung. Fertilizer is prepared in factories, and they do not provide any humus to the soil. But fertilizers are good if you want to use it for temporary purpose. But manures, which are relatively less in nutrients, but they don't harm the soil. They have a lot of humus to provide to the soil. So manure is a long-term solution, and it never spoils the quality of your soil, right? Then the advantages are, as discussed, they increase the water holding capacity of your soil. They make the soil porous, and it becomes easy for your soil to breathe. And it increases the number of friendly microbes that you have within your soil. And when we talk about the disadvantages of fertilizers, fertilizers make your soil salty. They spoil the soil, which is the reason why fertilizers are less preferred as compared to manures at any given point of time. Now, there are different irrigation methods that we have that can be seen since ages. The first one is a moat wherein a human is directly adding water to the soil. He's pulling it from the well. The second variant we have is a chain pump. This is a bit of semi-automatic. Then we have Dekli followed by Rahat. Now, these are different systems of water, or different systems of irrigation which are practiced in different parts of the country based on the water levels they have, and the availability of water as such. Yeah, but now again we have motors nowadays which are diesel powered or electric powered. So yes, we don't need manual method anymore. And in modern methods, we have the use of sprinklers, or we have the use of drip system. Sprinklers and drip systems are very oftenly used wherever we have water scarcity, right? So we have the ninth point, that is use of sprinkler or drip. You can consider Rajasthan and Gujarat and Haryana to be examples of such places where we have severe water scarcity. And in order to save water and to ensure your crop is growing, we use these kind of methodologies. And once you're done with irrigation, and now that your farm is coming up pretty healthy, or your crop is coming up pretty healthy and nice, there would obviously be weeds. Now, weeds are those unnecessary plants which are invasive in nature. And in order to ensure that weeds are removed, we use something called as weedicides. Weedicides basically prohibit or avoid the growth of any kind of invasive species. Invasive species spoil your farm. So those things are removed by using some sprays in the field, right? Then we finally harvest, and this is the season where we have different festivals in different parts of the country. We have Pongal in Tamil Nadu, we have Baisakhi and Kal Baisakhi in the areas of West Bengal, we have Lodi in areas of Punjab, we have Sankranti in Andhra Pradesh, we have it is known with different names, the same harvesting festival. All right. And this is how they all celebrate the harvesting season. And once it is harvested, the next immediate step for any farmer would be to keep it in storage. And storages are different variants. You have a lot of varieties of storages, but mostly nowadays farmers prefer putting it in cold storages or deep freezer, because they ensure that there is no kind of moisture growth or animals or insects that can probably spoil the quality of your seed. So these bags are generally stored in silos or granaries. Now, what do we understand by silos? Silos and silos, which are stored in granaries. Silos are cloth bags. The bags you can see here, they are called silos. They generally absorb any kind of moisture that's available, and they keep things neat and dry, or they keep your grains neat and dry. So you don't have to get worried about your, the produce that you have. So they're stored in silos. And this is something that you have in this chapter, or that you have in this, whole syllabus of your first chapter one. And I hope by now you have a good understanding of all these important topics that you have on the left. That is different agricultural practices. That is Kharif and Rabi. What is animal husbandry? What is crop? What is fertilizers? Harvesting, irrigation, Kharif, manure. I think we've written all the words exactly onto the left and right hand side. So now you ideally shouldn't be having any problem in filling out these, fill in the blanks, doing the match the following, and answering these questions as well. And if you have any problem with regards to these, by now, I'm sure you all know where to hit me up. You have my Instagram ID. Please hit me up on the Instagram ID, and I'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you very much. Have a great day. This is me, Varun Rao, signing off.